The desperate signal, the research vessel. Prometheus Dawn drifted silently through the Kepler sector, its sensors reaching deep into space like invisible fingers searching for new discoveries. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, watching star patterns that had become as familiar as the red dust storms of her Mars childhood. She had grown up in the Valles Marineris colonies where atmospheric processors failed regularly, and backup systems meant the difference between breathing and suffocation. That harsh upbringing taught her to always listen for trouble before it found you. Dr. James Chen worked at a xenobiology station, analyzing tissue samples from a newly discovered species of space-dwelling organisms. Chen had spent his early years on Europa Station, where the ice could crack without warning and send entire sections of the colony into the freezing ocean below. His people learned to read subtle signs in their environment, changes that others might miss. That skill made him excellent at detecting patterns in alien biology and communication. Lieutenant Sarah Torres monitored the tactical station with the focused attention of someone who understood that space was full of things that wanted to kill you. She had been born in the asteroid mining colonies of the belt, where equipment failure or navigation errors meant death in the cold vacuum. Her childhood taught her that survival meant staying alert and being ready to fight when necessary. The Prometheus Dawn had been exploring the outer regions of human space for 3 months, cataloging new star systems and searching for signs of intelligent life. It was routine work but important for humanity's expansion into the galaxy. The crew of 45 had volunteered for this mission because they believed in pushing boundaries and exploring the unknown. Chen looked up from his console with confusion on his face. "Captain, I'm detecting something unusual. It's not from any known species in our databases." He adjusted his sensors, trying to clean up the signal. "It appears to be some kind of biological transmission, but it's structured like a communication attempt." Vasquez walked over to his station. Growing up on Mars had taught her to investigate every anomaly because ignoring problems could be fatal. "Can you clean it up enough to understand what they're trying to say?" Chen worked at his controls with the patience of someone who had learned to make delicate repairs while wearing thick gloves in freezing conditions. Slowly, the signal became clearer. What emerged was unlike anything in the human databases. The IT voice was musical, like water flowing over stones, but filled with panic and desperation. This is the Zalari migration fleet calling to any beings who might listen." The voice spoke in broken galactic standard, the trade language used by most spacefaring species. "We are refugees fleeing the destruction of our homeworld. The Vorthak Empire pursues us. They wish to enslave our people for their underwater mining operations. We carry 15 million souls aboard our bioships. Our children, our elders, our entire civilization." Torres turned from her tactical station, her expression grim. She had learned to recognize hunters and prey from her time in the asteroid fields where pirates sometimes attacked mining operations. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures on long-range sensors. Multiple ships moving in formation, and they're gaining on something." The Zalari voice continued, now with even more urgency. "The Vorthak ships are faster than our bio-vessels. We cannot fight them. Our people evolved in peaceful oceans. We have no weapons, no military knowledge. If any species in this galaxy has compassion, please help us. We ask not for ourselves, but for our children who have never seen their homeworld and may never see freedom." Vasquez felt something cold settle in her stomach. She had grown up hearing stories of Earth's history, of times when the strong preyed upon the weak and entire peoples were enslaved or destroyed. Humanity had sworn never to let such things happen again, not if they could prevent it. "Chen, what do you know about the Zalari?" Chen accessed the galactic databases through their communication array. "Limited information, Captain. They're an aquatic species from the Andromeda arm. Highly intelligent but completely peaceful. They're known for their biotechnology and their ability to grow ships from living coral-like organisms. They've never been involved in any conflicts." He paused, reading more data. "Their homeworld was dying due to stellar changes. The entire population evacuated in a fleet of bioships about 6 months ago." "And the Vorthak?" Vasquez asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. Torres pulled up tactical data, her face showing the kind of disgust that came from someone who had seen bullies in action, slavers and raiders. They control a small empire based on forced labor. They use aquatic species for deep-water mining operations on high-pressure worlds. The Galactic Council has condemned them, but they operate in regions too remote for enforcement. The Zalari transmission continued, now with background sounds of panic and fear. The Vorthak leader has contacted us directly. He says they will take our people and put them to work in their mines. Our children will be born into slavery. Our culture will disappear. This cannot be our fate after surviving the death of our world. Vasquez looked around the bridge at her crew. These were people who had grown up in environments that would kill most galactic species within hours. They had learned to survive by helping each other and protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. She saw the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. Torres, how far are they from our position? The signal is coming from the Vega 7 system, Captain. About 8 hours at maximum burn. And how long before the Vorthak catch them? Torres worked at her calculations with the precision of someone who had learned that small errors in navigation could mean drifting forever in space. Based on their current speeds and trajectories, the Vorthak will intercept the Zalari fleet in approximately 10 hours. But Captain, we're just a research vessel. We have basic defensive systems and a small crew. Vasquez activated the ship's internal communication system. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had learned leadership in the harsh environment of the Martian colonies where decisions had to be made quickly and correctly. All hands, this is the captain. We have received a distress call from a refugee fleet carrying 15 million civilians. They are being pursued by slavers. We are the only vessel in range to assist them. She paused, knowing what she was about to ask of her crew. I won't order anyone into this situation. We're outnumbered and outgunned. But these people have nowhere else to turn. Anyone who wishes to object can speak now. The bridge fell silent. Through the comm system, Vasquez could hear the sounds of the crew throughout the ship, but no objections came. Instead, she heard the sounds of people preparing for action. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Maria Santos began pushing the fusion reactors toward maximum output. Santos had grown up on Ganymede where reactor failures meant everyone died, so she knew how to make engines perform beyond their specifications. In the small weapons bay, Gunnery Sergeant Alex Kim checked the targeting systems on their defensive weapons. Kim had been raised on Luna where meteor impacts were a constant threat, teaching him to shoot accurately under pressure. The Prometheus Dawn wasn't built for combat, but it had some teeth. Navigation, set course for the Vega 7 system. Vasquez ordered. Maximum burn engineering, give me everything the engines can handle. Course laid in, Captain, reported navigator Jennifer Walsh, who had learned precise navigation while piloting supply ships through the dangerous asteroid fields. We'll reach the intercept point in 7 hours and 43 minutes. As the Prometheus Dawn accelerated toward its destination, Chen continued monitoring the Zalari transmissions. The fear in their voices was becoming more pronounced as the Vorthak ships drew closer. Captain, the Zalari are trying to scatter their fleet, but their bioships aren't built for evasive maneuvers. They're essentially mobile cities designed for long-term space travel, not running from predators. Torres studied the tactical situation with the analytical mind of someone who had learned to read dangerous situations quickly. The Vorthak are using a standard pursuit formation. They're not expecting resistance. Their ships are designed for raiding and capturing, not fighting a prepared enemy. Vasquez nodded. The Vorthak had probably never encountered humans before. They were used to dealing with peaceful species who would surrender rather than fight. They had no idea what they were about to face. Humans had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. They had learned to fight for survival and to protect their own. And right now, those 15 million Zalari refugees were their own. Chen, send a message to the Zalari fleet, Vasquez ordered. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to maintain their current course and prepare for possible combat in their vicinity. Message sent, Captain. And Captain, I'm also detecting something else. The automatic distress beacon has been picked up by the human fleet network. Other ships are receiving the signal. Vasquez allowed herself a small smile. The human fleet network connected all human vessels across known space, sharing information and coordinating responses to emergencies. If other human ships were receiving the Zalari distress call, they would respond. It was simply what humans did. How many other vessels? I'm detecting response signals from at least a dozen ships, Captain. Some are closer than others, but they're all changing course toward the Vega 7 system. The Prometheus Dawn raced through space toward an encounter with an enemy that outnumbered and outgunned them. But Captain Elena Vasquez wasn't worried about the odds. She had grown up on a world where the atmosphere could kill you and the storms could strip flesh from bone. Her crew came from worlds where survival meant fighting for every breath, every meal, every day of life. The Vorthak were about to learn why the rest of the galaxy called humans Deathworlders. The Fleet Awakens Admiral Marcus Stone stood on the bridge of the heavy cruiser Defiance Edge, studying the tactical display with eyes that had seen too many battles. Stone had been born on Titan, where the hydrocarbon lakes could freeze solid in minutes and the atmospheric pressure could crush unprepared equipment. His childhood had been spent learning to read the subtle signs that meant survival or death in one of the solar system's most hostile environments. Those skills had served him well during his 40 years in the human defense fleet. The distress signal from the Zalari had reached his ship 3 hours ago, and Stone had immediately ordered a course change toward the Vega 7 system. The Defiance Edge was one of humanity's premier combat vessels, crewed by 300 of the finest warriors the species had produced. But even with all that firepower, Stone knew they would need more than one ship to face the Vorthak Empire. "Admiral," reported Commander Lisa Park from the tactical station. Park had grown up on Kepler 442b, a high-gravity world where the atmospheric pressure was 3 times Earth normal, and the native predators could hunt in packs of 50. Her people had learned to think tactically and move with deadly precision, because anything less meant becoming prey. "I'm receiving response signals from human vessels across the sector. It appears we're not the only ones heading to help the Zalari." Stone nodded with satisfaction. The human fleet network had done its job, spreading word of the crisis to every human vessel within range. That was how humanity worked. When innocent people needed help, humans answered the call regardless of the personal cost. It was a trait that had been forged in the crucible of humanity's harsh homeworld and refined on the deadly frontier worlds where human colonies had been established. "How many ships are responding?" Stone asked. Park worked at her console with the fluid efficiency of someone who had learned to make split-second decisions under pressure. "I'm tracking 15 vessels so far, Admiral. Mix of military and civilian ships. The research vessel Prometheus Dawn is closest to the intercept point. Captain Elena Vasquez is commanding." Stone knew Vasquez by reputation. She was one of the new generation of human commanders, born on Mars and trained in the unforgiving environment of the outer colonies. Her ship might be a research vessel, but her crew would be made of the same tough material as any military unit. "What's our ETA to the Vega 7 system?" 4 hours and 20 minutes at current speed, Admiral." Stone turned to his communication officer. "Send a message to all responding human vessels. Tell them we're coordinating a joint response to protect the Zalari refugees. Captain Vasquez of the Prometheus Dawn has tactical command until we arrive, given her proximity to the situation." The message went out across the human fleet network, and responses began coming back immediately. Captain Roberto Silva of the merchant vessel Solar Wind confirmed his participation despite having only basic defensive weapons. Silva had grown up in the floating cities of Venus, where the atmospheric acid could dissolve metal, and the pressure changes could crush entire districts. He understood what it meant to face overwhelming odds and refused to back down. Commander Jiang Wei of the patrol ship Frontier Guardian reported that his vessel was armed and ready for combat. Jiang's people had settled on a world where the seasonal storms could last for months and the temperature swings could shatter stone. They had learned patience and endurance, qualities that made them excellent at sustained combat operations. Captain Maria Santos of the Heavy Transport Cargo Master sent word that her ship carried mining equipment that could be converted into weapons. Santos had spent her childhood on the asteroid mining stations where equipment failure meant death and quick thinking meant survival. Her crew knew how to improvise solutions to impossible problems. As more ships reported in, Stone began to see a pattern emerging. Every human vessel in the sector was changing course toward the Vega 7 system. Military ships, research vessels, merchant traders, even tourist liners were heading toward what would certainly be a dangerous combat situation. None of them had been ordered to respond. They were coming because innocent people needed help, and humans couldn't ignore such a call. "Admiral," Park reported, "I'm receiving a transmission from the Vorthak Empire. They're demanding that all human vessels stay away from what they call their salvage operation." Stone's expression hardened. He had seen slavers before, and he knew how they thought. To them, the Zalari refugees were just property to be collected and put to work. The idea that anyone would risk their lives to protect strangers was completely foreign to them. "Put them through." The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of a Vorthak warship. The alien who appeared was tall and skeletal, with gray skin and red eyes that seemed to glow with inner fire. His voice was harsh and filled with the confidence of someone who had never met serious resistance. "I am war leader Threk of the Vorthak Empire," the alien announced. "We have claimed the aquatic refugees as property of our state. Any interference will be considered an act of war against our empire. Withdraw your vessels immediately or face the consequences." Stone stepped forward, his presence filling the screen with the quiet authority of someone who had earned respect through competence and courage. "I am Admiral Marcus Stone of the Human Defense Fleet. The beings you're pursuing are refugees, not property. They have requested asylum and protection. Cease your pursuit immediately and withdraw from this system." Threk's laugh was like grinding metal. "Humans, we have not encountered your species before. You must be new to this region of space. Let me educate you about reality. The strong take what they will and the weak suffer what they must. These aquatic creatures are weak. We are strong. Therefore, they belong to us." "You're about to learn something about humans," Stone replied calmly. "We have a saying on our worlds: touch one of us, and you touch all of us. The Zalari have asked for our protection. That makes them ours to protect." Threk's red eyes narrowed with contempt. "Your single ship against our battle fleet? You amuse us, human. Perhaps we will keep some of you alive as entertainment." "Who said anything about a single ship?" Stone asked with a cold smile. The tactical display behind him lit up with contact markers as human vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel throughout the system. The Defiance Edge had arrived with a full battle group, 4 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers, and 6 support vessels. But that was only the beginning. As Stone watched, more ships appeared on the display. The merchant vessel Solar Wind arrived with its cargo bays converted into weapon mounts. The patrol ship Frontier Guardian took position with its weapons already powered and ready. The transport cargo master deployed mining drones that had been hastily reprogrammed for combat operations. Within minutes, 37 human vessels had assembled in the Vega 7 system. Military ships, civilian vessels, research ships, and even a luxury liner that had been carrying tourists to the outer colonies. Every one of them had come to protect 15 million refugees they had never met. Commander Park's voice was filled with admiration as she reported the fleet composition. "Admiral, we have a complete tactical picture. 37 vessels of various classes, over 8,000 crew members, and enough firepower to level a small planet." Threk's confident expression had changed to one of shock and confusion. In Nadiafe, his experience, alien species ran from superior force or tried to negotiate for better terms. They didn't assemble fleets to protect strangers. This is impossible. No species would risk so much for beings they have never encountered. "Then you don't understand humans," Stone replied. "We're from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We learned that survival meant protecting each other and fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves. We spread that attitude to every world we've colonized." Captain Vasquez's voice came over the fleet communication channel from the Prometheus Dawn. "Admiral Stone, this is Captain Vasquez. The Zalari fleet is under our protection. We have 15 million civilian refugees who have done nothing except flee from the destruction of their homeworld. Any attack on them will be considered an attack on humanity itself." Stone could see the fear beginning to show in Threk's red eyes. The war leader had expected to face a single research vessel or perhaps a small patrol ship. Instead, he found himself confronting a fleet that had assembled from across human space in response to a simple distress call. The Vorthak ships were powerful, but they were outnumbered and facing an enemy they didn't understand. "This is your final warning," Stone announced to the Vorthak fleet. "Withdraw from this system immediately. The Zalari refugees are under human protection. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." Threk's image flickered as he consulted with his subordinates. Stone could hear argument and confusion in the background. The Vorthak had never encountered a species that would risk everything to protect strangers. Their entire worldview was based on the strong taking from the weak. The idea of the strong protecting the weak was incomprehensible to them. "You cannot be serious," Threk finally said. "You would start a war over creatures you have never seen, over beings who can offer you nothing in return?" Stone's smile was as cold as the methane lakes of Titan. "War leader Threk, you're about to learn the most important lesson in the galaxy. Humans don't help people because we expect something in return. We help people because it's the right thing to do. And when someone threatens innocent civilians under our protection, we respond with everything we have." The human fleet moved into combat formation with the smooth precision of a pack that had hunted together for years. Each ship took its assigned position, weapons powered and shields raised. The Zalari bioships moved into the center of the protective formation, their strange organic hulls glowing with bioluminescent patterns that might have been expressions of gratitude. Threk stared at the tactical display showing the human fleet. Deployment. His raiders were designed for hitting helpless targets and running from serious opposition. They had never been intended to fight a prepared enemy with superior numbers and firepower. "This is madness. No species acts this way." "Then you've never met humans," Admiral Stone replied. "War leader Threk, you have 1 minute to begin withdrawing your fleet. After that, we will consider your presence a hostile act and respond accordingly." As the countdown began, Stone looked around his bridge at officers who had grown up on worlds where cooperation meant survival, and protecting others was simply what you did when you had the strength to help. They were ready to fight and die for 15 million beings they had never met because that was what humans did. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth's children answered when the innocent called for help.